Hey, it's Megan from the Mainstage. Today, I have Allisyn Howard with Ava Wellness Business Consulting, and we're gonna talk about the most embarrassing moments that we've had as speakers. It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be a tell-all, so I hope you enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to take the center stage with the Mainstage. I'm Megan Fettis, and this is where we ignite your entrepreneurial spirit and elevate your speaking power, unveiling the strategies and the insights that will set you on the fast track to success and personal fulfillment. We are back again with Allisyn Howard, Ava Wellness Business Consulting.
Hi.
And we have been having some incredible conversations up to this point. A lot of really powerful strategy, like what to do, what the skills have been that you've learned.
Yeah.
I want to know, what has been one of your most embarrassing moments as a speaker?
God, there's been so many. Well, the most recent one, and probably the most embarrassing, was my last talk, my signature talk, utilizing the framework, doing all the stuff that we had talked about. And I walked up on stage. The MC hadn't moved a podium. I was moving the podium. There was a mocktail sitting on top, and it hit a edge on the stage, and the whole mocktail just went all over the stage. I was the first speaker after lunch. Everybody was actually paying attention. And yeah, so that was incredibly embarrassing. I was so nervous because of that. I literally curtsied on stage. I don't know if you remember.
I remember that because I was there watching.
Yeah. So I curtsied on stage and went, oh, okay, I'm moving on. The only people that thankfully actually caught in my voice that I was nervous or that I'd been rattled were you and my husband. That's it. Everybody else was like, oh my gosh, she recovered so well. Like, that couldn't have been me. I would have freaked out or whatever. But it was because of the framework that I was able to do it. When I haven't had a framework, it's been a lot worse. One of them, I was a promotional events girl for my university. I was running from the football game at homecoming to the hockey game at homecoming. So I am in 4-inch heels and a jersey, and I am sprinting from one end of campus to the other end of arenas. I slid in on the ice so fast and so hard that I actually hit the boards on the other side. I learned later that there was an ongoing bet for the entire year between safety and security and the other promotional events people of when I would fall and hit my butt on the ice. So thankfully I didn't do that, but I definitely had slipped up on words. I had completely messed up on names or events, or slipping and hitting the other side of the boards was pretty bad as well, because I almost went over. It was like penalty box, kind of like that. Yes. Would have been awful. And of course I was 21 at the time, so I was bright red. I just said it was my university colors and that I was going for that. It didn't. That wasn't the truth.
Well, and the funny thing about it is like, you can be the most like well-prepared, well-rehearsed speaker out there, and things are going to happen, right? Like, every single one of us has had an embarrassing moment. Like, I was telling you before we started filming how I actually one time was coming up the stage and I tripped and literally yard sailed myself across the stage.
Oh dear. Okay.
And popped myself up and did one of these. I'm okay. So.
Oh my God.
And I think, it's funny, and I love that we're having this conversation because so many people hold themselves back from listening to that calling within themselves, that they want to get up on stage, they want to speak, they want to make that greater impact, but the what ifs come into their minds. Like, what if I spill a mocktail all over the stage?
What if I trip going up the stairs? What if I pull a Jennifer Lawrence and completely faceplant on the stairs trying to get an award? Things like that. They don't want to put themselves into that situation. And it's that comfort zone that they're like, no, I'm not gonna do that.
No. I mean, one of the common things I get told all the time is, well, what if I blank out? Like, what if I get so terrified and I blank out? Mm-hmm. And my response always is, that will happen. Mm-hmm. Because I do that almost every single time that I speak. Mm-hmm. Like, I believe that that's just kind of a rite of passage as a speaker.
Yeah.
We're going to do that. And so it's not about the what if, it's about what can I do when this happens.
Yep.
And so I'm curious, after that mocktail spilt and after you did your lovely curtsy, what was it that you did to bring yourself back into the center so that you could move forward and not let that experience affect the rest of your talk?
Yeah. I took a really deep breath and I walked to the other side of the stage where I couldn't see the spill. It was over there. They were dealing with it. I figured I would get back to over that side and address that part of the audience later. So took a deep breath, did that. And honestly, the curtsy was part of it, where I was just like, if I do something silly, because like we've talked about in a previous episode, I'm a little weird. I'm kind of funny. Nobody expects me to curtsy on stage, you know? So I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. It's going to take the onus off of, and I'm going to walk away. The funniest part to me about that experience was no one remembers. No one. I converted so highly at that event for what I was expecting. And none of my clients remember it. My other friends that were there, nobody remembers that I spilled a mocktail. And I'm just like, how did you not remember? This was incredibly embarrassing for me. But the content and the connection that I made, which we talked about again in another episode, was good enough that nobody remembered that.
No, and here's the thing, and I love that you brought this up because that's what happens, right? That fear holds people back. Well, what will they think of me? What will they remember me for? And the reality is that as a speaker, it's not about you.
No.
Right? Like,
it's not, it's about them.
Yeah, and that's where the structure, like we talked about in a previous episode, is so vital because it's really tuning into and putting the value on your audience. And so that when you do have those blunders or those mistakes, and you will, because it's inevitable, we're humans and we're awkward and weird.
Yep, exactly.
But because it's so enriched in the focus on them, that's what they remember. They remember feeling valued. They remember feeling supported, understood, seen.
Yep.
That they don't even remember anything else that we do because we're always going to be our worst critics.
Exactly. And we, as an audience member, we're so gracious to the speakers as well, where it's just like, yeah, you're sitting in the audience and go, oh my God, I hope she's okay. That's more of the attitude that we're going to end up having. So being on stage, we're catastrophizing it versus the people in the audience, if they do remember, and that's an if, they are caring more about like, okay, is she okay? Like, she did so good. Like, she recovered so well, all of that, instead of, I'm glad it's not me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's that saying, like there's that quote about people won't remember what you did, but they'll remember how you made them feel.
Yep.
And so as speakers, it's vital to remember that if you can release that idea that they're focused on you and instead flip it.
Yep.
So it's how can I focus and give to them?
Yep.
Then all of those embarrassing moments, they might even add a little bit of spice. They might add a little bit of joy and fun to it all long term.
They might remember you better.
Exactly. But they won't remember that moment and make the decision on if you're a great speaker or not.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
that's a big difference.
I love that you shared this embarrassing moment. I love to make people feel awkward and weird, as you know. And thank you for sharing it, because that's one of the biggest fears, like I say, that most people have when it comes around speaking. And so helping them to understand that isn't something that really should concern them, that it shouldn't be something that holds them back, is so vital.
Yeah.
So how can people get in touch with you, Allie, so that they can learn more about working with you?
Easiest way is avawellness.ca, which is my website, or you can find me on Instagram at Ava Wellness Business, and I respond to everybody. So if you have a question about what I do, please let me know.
Amazing. Now, we have another episode coming up where we are going to be talking about what your piece of advice is for speakers that want to become untamed in their speaking and business potential.
Yep.
So I can't wait to
wait.
hear more.
You will not want to miss that.
Awesome. Thanks, Allie.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining me on the Mainstage today. I'm Meagan Fettis, urging you to embrace the knowledge shared and implement it to guide you to make sales from the stage and achieve your speaking goals. Remember that the spotlight is yours to claim. Keep evolving and keep making your mark. Here's to your success, impacting millions and monetizing your message from the stage.